Hello, truth seekers, welcome to Cruise TV, your #1 YouTube channel that provides you with facts, with zero to very minimal errors. Truth seekers, besides revealing how competitive your family members are, Monopoly has some solid lessons about personal finance. Buying an expensive property can bankrupt you if you can't afford it, for instance. And it's always good to have a few $100s lying around in case you wind up in jail. So what else can this Parker Brothers creation teach us about money management? Here are 7 valuable lessons you can take off the board and into real life. 1. Negotiating is always worth a try. At some point in the game, you'll probably start negotiating with your opponents to trade properties or borrow money. According to Sophie Miles, co-founder of QuotesAdvisor.com, this strategy helped her prepare for real-life negotiations. This game has helped me a lot to negotiate with suppliers, obtaining prices, and knowing when to negotiate and when not, Miles said. Even if you don't run a company, negotiating is a useful skill for your career. Some new employers expect salary negotiation after making you an offer, for instance. And if you've already been with your company for a while, asking for a raise could help you earn more money. But you have to be strategic in how you ask, so make sure to practice negotiation strategies before you make your request. 2. Avoid spending all your money right away. On the flip side, you don't want to spend too much right away. You need cash on hand to keep buying properties. Plus, you might have to give cash to an opponent or pay a fee after picking up an unlucky chance card. According to Todd Hewittner of Hewittner Capital, this part of the game teaches you how important it is to save and budget your money. You have to save up some money to be able to survive some rough times, said Hewittner. In personal finance speak, this is called an emergency fund. It's used to cover unpredictable expenses, such as a car repair or medical bill. For maximum security, try to build an emergency fund that could cover 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. That way, you'll be financially set if you lose your income or want to make a career switch. 3. Always keep cash on hand. By far, this is the most important lesson in both the game and the financial world. To win in Monopoly, you have to be the last player left, in other words, the last one to have money. So if you aimlessly move around the Monopoly board buying up everything in sight, when the time comes to pay your financial obligations, you are likely to run out of cash. No cash means you have to start selling off the properties, assets, you acquired at a deep discount to what you paid for them. In the game, you are allowed to mortgage them at a discount to face value. Once this process happens, unless you get lucky, it's only a matter of time before you go bankrupt. The same exact principle applies in real-world financial matters. The United States got a front-row seat to the consequences that occurred during the recession when cash is not available. When the Great Recession hit, people had been spending cash like crazy, thanks to an addiction to credit. Yet when the housing market went bust and the US banking crisis erupted, those without cash were decimated. The monopoly effect took place. Without cash, folks had to sell off what they owned at steep discounts. Unable to make mortgage payments, people were forced to sell their houses for significantly less than what they paid for them, or worse, the lender foreclosed on the property. Any equity was wiped out. The same consequences were suffered in the stock market to a staggering degree. When the credit market seized, many investors scrambled to raise cash. The only option they had was to sell securities at any price. This need for cash created an avalanche of selling that led to the huge market decline in 2008 and ultimately led to good, hard-working people losing a significant amount of their investable assets. On the other hand, the people who had cash were given an opportunity to buy assets, stocks, real estate, bonds, for fractions of what they were worth. In the end, they won the game and made the most money. 4. Be patient. To win at Monopoly, you have to be patient and have a game plan. You usually can't win by buying every piece of real estate you land on. You have to have a general approach to how you want to proceed. If you are impatient and start buying every piece on the board you land on, you will quickly find yourself out of money. Therefore, you have to be patient and know when to buy and when to take a pass. Similarly, if you just buy without discipline when investing, you will be placing your outcome on the hope that the market behaves nicely. Successful investors don't invest based on hope, they invest with a disciplined approach. Patience is a very integral part of that approach. During the internet boom of the late 1990s, Warren Buffett was ridiculed for not investing in internet companies while speculators around him were capturing triple-digit gains. A lucky few got in and out at just the right time. However, for the vast majority, the result was painful losses. Buffett exercised patience for years, while everyone else was chasing internet stocks. At the end, when the market and investors ran out of money, the speculative investments came crashing down quickly, wiping out the majority of investors who weren't patient and disciplined enough. 5. Focus on cash flow. Monopoly is a simple game. You start off with some money, and your goal is to be the last player standing with money. The way you win in Monopoly is by collecting rents on the property, or cash flow. Not many people know this, but the most valuable properties on the Monopoly board, with the best cash flow, are the 4 railroads. If you can own all 4 of them, you have put yourself in a very good position. With each railroad costing $200, by owning all 4 you collect $200 in rent or a 25% return. This may be a very bizarre way to look at a game, but this is precisely why Monopoly offers some valuable financial and investing lessons. Over time, assets increase in value based on the cash flows they produce. Even something as simple as a savings account or savings bond becomes more valuable if it is earning more cash, i.e., a higher interest rate. Many of the most successful investments come from those companies that can generate growing cash flows. Iconic companies like Coca-Cola, Co., Johnson & Johnson, J&J, and IBM have been highly successful investments for decades because of the growth in cash flows they produce. 6. The most expensive asset is not always the best. Most Monopoly players want to own Park Place and Boardwalk since they have the biggest payouts. But they are also the most expensive pieces to maintain. Many people lose at Monopoly by owning the most expensive pieces because they don't pay attention to cost, only cash flow. Focusing on the cash flow without taking into account the cost paid to attain those cash flows is to play the game with blinders on. Those who win at Monopoly, and investing in the long run, instead focus on the value gained for the price paid. In investing, the best investments can often be tarnished by companies trading at a bargain price. Owning Boardwalk and Park Place is not how you win at Monopoly. You win by making the most money. In investing, you win by buying low and selling high. When you focus on the most expensive assets, odds are you are overpaying and setting yourself up for losses. 7. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You won't win much in Monopoly by just owning one property on the board and loading it up with hotels. It's also hard to win if you try and buy everything on the board and spread yourself too thin. Occasionally, you can get lucky and have every opponent land on your property, but usually, the winner is someone who spreads out his or her properties throughout the board and has multiple chances at capturing rents. The same principle applies to investing. If you bet everything on 1 or 2 stocks, you are exposing yourself to a potential wipeout if something goes wrong. At the same time, you can dilute your gains by trying to own 100 different stocks. Diversify intelligently. Studies have shown that a portfolio gains no additional diversification benefits after 15 to 20 securities. Don't just bet on 1 or 2 assets, or try and keep up with 50 assets. Truth seekers, subscribe for more content like this weekly and don't forget to turn on the notification for daily fact video.